to comment and send, Pulsechain links and tag Richard, and I've really been trying to, at any cost, right, like get things out there a lot too, because when I hear Richard talk about onboarding and how maybe, there's one millionaire or billionaire.
Captain. That's you switched your profile picture to a Bored Ape. If that's what you were talking about, correct?
Yeah. But what I was saying too, like where he talked about how like maybe there was one mail, or like all we really need is one of those connections, right? Of one of these guys that works at ARC, or one of these like spots that where they're really deploying capital. It really only takes like one or two of these guys to be like, all right, let me look at this. Let me look a little bit deeper into this. And those are the type of people that do. So I'm trying to at least engage with them here, where, eventually they're going to kind of click through, see the project. And I'm pretty confident a lot of them know about it, aren't necessarily like coming out and showing their cards yet, probably waiting for launch. But that's the type of marketing that I'm engaged in. And, just trying to use and leverage the profile photo and, the following that I've created through my community just to get to those people. And I see the way that they like my comments, or I know they're seeing it, right? Just not necessarily.
How many Instagram followers do you have in Twitter? Give me the rundown on all that, if you don't mind.
My Twitter is my personal, so I haven't really. I'm sorry, my Instagram is my personal, so I haven't really been. I've been using that kind of just more for my friends and family. But my Twitter is 15,500, and the majority of that has kind of come up through the NFT space, and then also some of crypto Twitter. But I would say the majority of that was built from the ground up. I was one of the first people to be in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, so there's 10,000 people there. Probably amassed a lot of my following from NFT Twitter, but also being a loud component of.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
I'm good. I'll keep talking. Thanks.
What did that guy say?
I don't know. Shut the fuck up.
No, he didn't say that, did he? Anyways, how much?
I take trolls to the woodshed, so it's not a problem.
How much? So let's say, what's your average user engagement per post that you do? I'm just curious.
It really depends on what I'm posting. I mean, if I go look at my analytics, it's usually around like when there's like peak kind of Twitter engagement in general. But my impressions range from 100,000 up to 1 million a month. Those are impressions. Click through is probably a little bit less, but I definitely get some pretty strong engagement. Click through is another story, and then if they understand what I'm talking about, is again another story. But I've just been trying to let people know that they're getting a copy, and when people in the community start to suggest other things, like our community needs a new chain for the games and for our tokens. So the thing is, like, there's a lot of VC control now, and even after we broke Ethereum, that $100 million given back in gas, they put out some tweet where they're like, "Oh, looks like we need a new chain," which just it signals that they're trying to push on pressure points and probably do their own thing. But I'm more interested in figuring out after we launch, like, how do I propose something for our DAO to take a look at Pulsechain, because that is it's a DAO, so like we can all vote on it, and that's where I've been trying to at least educate the community and say, hey, look, like we propose something, like we could get it voted on, and then it gets sent. Like we could, like there's a proposal right now for a Avalanche sidechain, which it takes people like me and a few other smart individuals to say, hey, this isn't a good idea, because people really don't understand it. There's immutable X, which is like a layer 2 that could be good potentially for the gaming, but it will, I think, dilute our metaverse in general. And the fact that all of these NFTs are going to be copied over, everyone's tokens are going to be copied over, everything's going to be on Pulsechain. It's going to be really interesting to watch them say no when everything is set up over there, and that would be kind of it's weird because they created this DAO to try to create some sort of decentralized nature in it, but I see that they kind of created it to have their own piggy bank, and just create more value and more tokens for Coinbase to kind of move around, these exchanges to move around. But that being said, like there's enough of us OGs that could put up a vote and get people to vote to come over, or at least add liquidity to the token pool, because everyone's going to want maybe an extra airdrop or to bring extra value. And the other thing too is 70% of that token is owned by these VCs that's still locked up. So they're all going to unlock over the next like 6 to 12 months. And why wouldn't they want an extra copy? Now it's a governance token, and they've said only 1 billion will ever be used in the ecosystem. So you kind of have to get around that. And I guess people would have to bridge in their tokens from the Ethereum side to the.
How's your relationship? How's your relationship with some of the OGs in your community?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's good. And they'll listen. I think some have their own agendas, but at the end of the day, it's good. Everyone, I mean, I could DM any of them. There's probably only like 10 that are top, and then for instance, about 5 or 6,000 holders only have 1 ape, where I have about 4 or 5, and then it really kind of gets low as you get into like the larger holders, and those are the holders that also got 10,000 tokens per ape. So those are kind of the bag holders. People could have been accumulating here, and it's really just about how much people.
So the other OGs, they know about Pulsechain. You've talked to them about it.
Posting about it.
No, have you talked to the other OGs? Have you sent them direct messages or had talks with them about the opportunities on them for Pulsechain?
I've done it in the open, right? Like I like people to be able to see it because the small fish count too. So one of the bigger whales, this guy, his name's Machi Big Brother. He's big into esports. He's been a big influence in the ape community. And the other day he was talking about like, oh, we should do our new chain as a BNB side chain. I'm like, dude, you're joking, right? So I'd rather have these, instead of sending them stuff I send them stuff in the DMs, but it's not until I kind of make them mercy in public, kind of like Richard does, where it's like I think that it'll start to click. Well, they'll look at it more. Everyone has their own agenda and their own desires. I think again, like we need a product out there so that when people on the surface go and look for Richard Hart, they don't get hit with the first surface level of like, oh, this is a scam. So I think as soon as the product's out there and we can point to their copies of their tokens, they'll be more interested to dig a little bit deeper and figure out how they can extract the value.
Yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday,
that
Captain Benjamin, when I was saying yesterday about how he's communicating with his audience. I think it's fitting, it's appropriate for the time frame and his followers, right? Because a lot of them are, obviously he's You've got an ape, you know, as his avatar. You know, he's one of the first in Bored Ape Yacht Club, and so now he's kind of, I mean, I'd say 50% of his tweets are around Richard Hart products, specifically Pulsechain. And so, you know, he's kind of making them aware of it in a way that's not, you know, like car sales, for lack of a better term, car salesmanship, or you know, trying to force something down their throats that, you know, it's not like we're in the sacrifice phase or something like that. So I can appreciate his approach. And I think that's a good question about engagement, because I asked it yesterday, like, what kind of responses are you getting? Are you getting private messages inquiring more about it? But I think once we go live, it'll be a whole different shift of gears into, you know, in his messaging.
Like I'm getting people that are like, okay, I'm interested in Hex. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, well, how much capital are you playing with? And it's hard at this point for when someone's like, okay, I have $600. What do I do? You know, I'm just like, all right. You know, like it's hard for me to be like, you know, set that out and stake and do this. So I think I've kind of been positioning them more to be like, listen, you if you have a bigger bag, you could, you know, set a stake, you can get the copy, any type of tokens you have, you can get a copy there, you can hold the liquid, you can hold the USDC and carry it over and get ready for Pulsechain. Anyone that has these as far as like my community goes, like everyone has not only these NFTs that are worth six figures, but now they have these tokens that they got for free and you know they've taken a bit of a hit, but if they can get this double up here, and then also there is the possibility of them all being on a new chain, which is exactly what our community needs. You know, it's I'm trying to create not only the knowledge, but as soon as they see their tokens there, it's going to be like, all right, guys, like we have the structure here in this DAO to vote on the community going this direction. We don't just have to wait for announcements from the VCs to pump our bags. We can start to force, you know, them to slide this way instead of just giving them full control. People are pretty lazy. They don't understand how a lot of this stuff works. They just want the, you know, the leaders to continue to give us value. And even in the name board, right, it's very complacent. People are just kind of sitting back on their bags and letting them dictate. I'm not one of those people. And I'm trying to see how, you know, you can pivot a whole community over onto this new chain. And sometimes I have to be a little bit aggressive by doing it, but at the end of the day, the code and the product is going to speak for itself. And if our conversation is we want a new chain, right? Like these guys, I'm sorry, but like, you know, the founders of Sandbox or even the guys at Horizon Labs that created, you know, our token, like I don't really think that they have the devs to create a new chain. Sure, they can go fork something or create a layer 2, but you know, I still also would like to know and see like a game being used on the chain, and if like our throughput handles that, how it handles that, and then just show that this is the most viable option, so that we're not waiting around for 12 months to build our own new chain. Like we should be using Pulsechain.
I got a question for you. What do you think about something that, like, you know how to Pulse has set themselves up to be, you know, the educational space for Pulsechain? What if you had a website geared towards Bored Ape, right, in Pulsechain, and you know kind of copied what they were doing over there, but geared towards your community, because it's usually the first one to market, right? Usually has a good chance of succeeding. And you know, there might be a little bit of opportunity in that, you know, just creating a website, you know, or Bored Ape Pulse something. I don't know, just thought I'd throw that out there and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually very well rounded in not only content creation, but I can build sites and I can brand and do all those things. I've kind of been trying to figure out where I fall into that, like whether it's, yeah, and I do talk to Wallers and I do like that approach. And it's been helpful to at least send people there, even though I feel like I'm more of a visual learner. A lot of people are. So whether it's videos or even like a Hex Mackenzie, she does these amazing infographics where I'm like, wow, like that's the type of level that I want to be creating things in to get the message down to a 5th grade level. I could do one that's specific to the ape community, and I think that actually might be a little bit more enjoyable for me to create too. So I'll definitely consider that.
Yeah, I think the effort and the time to do that would be, it's a good shot to take. We can only take so many shots out there, in creating stuff and, with our time and energy. But, looking on the outside, looking in, because of everything you said about, some of the limitations that, with Ethereum and all these things, with what we can do, what you guys can do on Pulsechain, and, this whole thing we're talking about seems like a good shot to be first to the market for your community.
No, I'd love to find someone. I'm gonna try to reach out to Hex Mackenzie again. I like these ideas of like breaking down like a Venn diagram or like a left channel, right channel, right? Of like the things that we need and the things that Pulsechain can provide. And I was even thinking about going back through some of like the digital graphics and things that we have now and just kind of upresing them and making sure they're all good, because those are the things that also we need to be sharing. Even just like a breakdown of like Pulsechain, PulseX, Hex, and like, or even just like, what the throughput, the larger block size, the time, like these key points that are, the sales sort of pitches, and just putting them into better shareable content, where when we go into these Twitter storms, they're just retweeted, and or are our banners on Twitter and stuff like that. I even changed the link in my Twitter account just to howtopulse.com. I'm like, why am I sending people to my website? I should be sending them here. So I'll take that into consideration, because I've been trying to figure out what type of content I want to create for Pulse and Pulsechain. And you're right. I think I should actually bring it back over to how do I convert my ape community to Pulsechain, whereas maybe somebody that's in the Shiba Inu or Doge community can be doing something similar. I'm going to look within our community of what benefits do we have, and then show people, hey, we're going to have all these copies over there. Instead of letting them go to waste, why don't we use them? And if we can get the Board of Yacht Club community to come over and slide and actually utilize Pulsechain, the whole NFT community will come as well.
Yeah, because you're at you have a really good advantage, because I would like to think that some of the content or some of the ideas or some of the information that How to Pulse uses, that it could be directly used as well, if not just the community here as a resource to help you, right? Because this community is all about finding ways to help the whole chain succeed. And from what I've gathered so far, which is still surface level, it seems pretty everybody's free with information, right? They're not trying to hoard it or keep people in and out. Obviously, those things happen. That's the nature of this beast. But this community, I like to think, more than almost anyone out there, is open to the free information given, and hey, copy us, do this, hey, yeah, easier, hey, yeah, this will work, coming together a little bit but separate.
I think I'll do that. This is a good talk. I think what I'll do is I really got to lay out the case for two things. One, what is inhibiting us from moving forward as Bored Ape Yacht Club community, right? Like we have these tokens, we have these NFTs, now they're trying to, and I'm just going to talk openly here. I know we're not supposed to talk about this stuff, but we have this metaverse, right? And it's just like, well, none of those things are going to be able to run at the speed that we want on Ethereum. And we knew that when they launched, but they launched anyway because the venture capitalists, they wanted to pump their bags knowing that this macro situation was going to happen. Like literally April 30th, they dropped this land sale, of over 200,000 units on an NFT community that really like there's only about a million people that own an NFT. And probably and everyone's got at least 2 to 5 wallets and stuff. So there's probably only about a 500,000 to 1 million people that even just own an NFT in general. So it's an oversaturated market there, whatever. But saying that to say, like, how does all that stuff exist? What was the point of that token? Oh, this is a token for the Web3 NFT ecosystem. On what chain? In what world? Like ERC20s are not being used at POS systems at my coffee shop, right? Like, what is the back end of that? One of the main guys that came in and propped up the Bored Ape Yacht Club, his name is Gaio Siri, who is a venture capitalist. He was also the manager for U2, Madonna, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's friends with Snoop Dogg. He's, he got Elon to tweet about something. Like he's very much in there. He owns Sound Ventures. He, was early in on Airbnb, early in on Uber. Is very close with Andreessen. Andreessen looks at him and Guy has been able to 8x, 10x his investments. And that's what these VCs do. So when he came in and they saw the Bored Ape Yacht Club as a vehicle to not only perpetuate the amount of NFTs that got traded. I mean, he owns, huge share in OpenSea. They're all taking those 2.5%. Coinbase, it's like this is their VC world. And when Jack Dorsey says that, Web3 is being cohorted and owned by VCs, like this is what he was talking about. So, they created this token. They gave them all their insiders got the majority of the bag. They airdropped us apes token, so we're fed, and we'll continue to market this, that, the other thing. But it feels very much like a duct tape token, and now they're using the ape coin as their piggy bank instead of having to pull from the capital that they raised. That's their own money anyway. So they're kind of double dipping, and they need to pull the utility forward.
I mean, all these things, in my personal opinion, what we got going on in crypto are money making schemes now, right? For the most part, generally speaking, for now. And the good news is you just doubled your bags, right? So this whole doubling everything and everybody getting a copy is such a tremendous asset, right? And you would think that certain NFT communities, the ones that are like the most popular ones, would have the highest percentage of getting parity. So just doubling your money is, who the hell doesn't want to double their money? Like that's the sale right there.
Market's so illiquid. Like I've been trying to sell my apes in this market, and should have sold them a few weeks ago. But it's all gonna come back. But it just needs to be like the NFTs in general. Like we're gonna end up getting more airdrops, right? Like we'll get these characters in full 3D in game. We're gonna see more upside. Now, does that NFT on Pulsechain get that same value? Does it still hold the intellectual property? No. I think as far as the NFT goes, like it's going to dilute versus create more value. As far as tokens go, like obviously token for token, there's value there if you want to breathe the liquidity into it. And, you know, I'm just trying to say, hey, look, like instead of having to bridge all of our NFTs or land tokens over to a new chain so that's there, we already have these copied over here. So, you know, it's I don't think that they're gonna change the script, but like I think there's pressure points, right? So I'm trying to leverage the pressure point where it's like, all right, well, we got these copies, so we could either let them die and then it creates almost like a cinder block around our ankles because we just got diluted by half, or we put liquidity into it and we acknowledge them and we use them on this new chain because it's going to allow us to do all the things that we want it to do. So even if the Pulse chain becomes the network layer and we use the NFTs over there as proxies, you know, now you can do all these transactions in game. You can, you know, have your tokens. I don't know what it would do for like the governance side, but maybe there's going to have to be rules set by the governing body, which we could write into the DAO proposal, where it's like, hey, all right, like the IP stays on the Ethereum side, right? The governance tokens stay on that side, but you know, the value of these tokens is it's still our token, and like maybe that gets used in game. Maybe, you know, we need the higher throughput for, you know, interactions with the blockchain. Like we can do those things over here, and we don't have to wait for some other chain to be forked or built. Like this is already over here. Let's use it and adopt it. And I think we could get out in front of the VC control because the DAO is so new, before they unlock, and because they're not really voting with their tokens right now. It still is us OGs that are voting, and we do have a way to kind of sway and say there are some major players. There's only a couple handful that have the millions of tokens to be able to be the deciding factor, but we've been able to kind of influence those decisions and say yay or nay on a few different proposals that have come up. And a lot of people also don't vote and don't really know how to vote or know what they're doing, so they'll go with the majority. So it's really about creating the narrative and then swinging that majority. But I also knew by flooding my bags that I wasn't gonna be able to move that needle, right? So I was just like, fuck it, I'll flood my bags or flood the founders and let people try to pull the veil back from some of these VCs, because, you know, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors and it's a lot of like pump and, you know, create this FOMO and get everyone to pile in. And, you know, it's like people are getting wrecked that way. And they're the ones that are winning. So by trying to educate people on that, I think also the flip side of the VCs is the line in the sand with Richard Hart and these other projects. So giving people at least the ability to make decisions for themselves, but really understand the players and the landscape, and then decide which team you want to hop on. And if you really believe in the crypto Web3 decentralized ethos, you know, you're going to want to come over here. But like the founder of 1inch just bought an ape yesterday, you know, and so getting more of the DeFi guys in the community as well, like they'll be able to back up the tech. And I think we could definitely get people to swing this way.
Well, thank you for the information, my man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Love being here. When I got into the Board Ape Yacht Club, it felt like and I was in their Discord, it felt like I was early to a party. And I have the same feelings here where we're pre-viral, right? We're early to the party. Everything's set up. We're just waiting for the doors to open. So when they do, you know, we're going to get those bars and entertainment going, and it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, the most important thing is you've got the information and you're good to go, right? You're gaining all the knowledge here, and so much respect to you.
I actually had this idea that I'm playing with, um, where like the same way Richard leans into like pretty girls, like I think that's a huge part of marketing as well for like crypto Twitter and NFT Twitter, where when we're done, jigging each other off about our NFTs and our gains, like people care about the quote unquote crypto baddies or NFT baddies. And there's some beautiful girls out there that also know how to lean into, their engagement, right? So I kind of want to create this like group of girls, or instead of being like Pulsechain baddies, I want to create this group called like the Heartbreakers, and just like make them be like, you know, just like almost like not like dominatrix, but like taking that energy and like making other plebes like want to come over and like almost like have their hearts broken, or be a part of
I
the
think
richer ecosystem.
out of everything that we've been talking about now, I think that has more traction and is simpler to do. The one thing that I have literally been more surprised about the last couple months is just like you said, like these hot chicks who are in Hex or talking about Richard Hart products. They've got tons of followers, right? And it's like they can talk good, they seem very knowledgeable, right? But because of their looks, they're holding a like more power than I thought, right? So that's what's so I shouldn't be surprised by that, but I am surprised by it. Like it doesn't even matter if they have that much. It doesn't matter if they have that much time in the game in crypto or general knowledge. They can watch some videos and talk the talk, but because of their looks, they get so much engagement.
And so the same way Richard's trying to get engagement with like the cars and this, that, the other thing, right? Like he's going after a certain demographic in marketing. So it's the TikTok, like YouTube. I'm impressed by the money, right? But then what happens when 95% of crypto are these, for for lack of better term, like in NFTs, right? It's like we all kind of make fun of each other for like living in our parents' basement and like, becoming like crypto rich, right? Or making a bunch of money on NFTs. It's like not getting outside and touching grass, right? So there are these individuals that have bags that then think that they are a little bit more machismo, or they go into Twitter and they start shit posting or having fun. It's this banter back and forth, and all of a sudden they're talking and engaging with these pretty girls, right? The other thing too, it's like the majority of crypto, even though America is a big demographic, like a lot of new crypto investments is coming from Europe. Richard has a pretty good position, I think, with Europeans, and also like beautiful European women, Russian women, Scandinavians. It's like they're the ones. Like I see more European women and international women that are in crypto actually getting some of the engagement as well. And a lot of the women is in the NFT space are coming through actually with artistic capabilities. So they're also creating attractive, beautiful like art and stuff. And that's what you need for strong branding as well, is a cool brand, is a tangible object outside of just the crypto itself. Like that's where I think the NFTs will play. And so as far as like heartbreakers go, like I just DM'd a girl right now where a lot of them are coming to me interested because I have a 8 profile, right? And then also I'm throwing it back to them, being like, okay, cool, like let's create a project that can help funnel some of this attention, because you want to make some capital with NFTs. So if we're making like heartbreaker NFTs on Pulsechain, we're the first ones there. Sometimes these guys with bags, the way that they can support the girls is by buying the NFT or being a collector and engaging more there. And the girls that are smart are giving back that full engagement, and it creates this, feeling of belonging and interaction that a lot of these guys with these bags are trying to use that to sort of impress or engage. So there's some pretty interesting psychological advantages there that I think we should explore as well.
Definitely. That's what I'm surprised about, because that type of engagement, or just in general what we're talking about there, like I don't even look at it. Like I just click away. I'm not interested whatsoever. In my head, I'm like stuck up about it. Like I'm like that stuck up that stuck up girl who's like looking at him like I ain't even gonna give that the time of day, right? But what I've realized is maybe I'm not the normal person out there, obviously, because these people are getting lots of engagement. You know, what we're talking about now, I think probably I'm willing to guess that the best marketing that Richard has almost done so far has been his latest one with those 2 girls and those pictures they put out. Like I saw Richard, it puts Richard in anytime you put yourself in a picture with 2 beautiful girls, like your stock goes up. You could be like the nerdiest guy. You put yourself in between 2 girls, you're at a party, 2 hot girls, that nerdy guy, because of, the way the brain's wired and all this. Your social value.
What it did, Benjamin, is it showed that Richard is capable of tapping into his divine feminine, that he has a good relationship with his mother, that like he can be sensitive. And it's not all this machismo coming from, Bitcoin maxi lower chakra bullshit. It's like, hey, I can actually like have fun, and have a sensitivity towards the feminine side. And being that the majority of our community is seemingly 50% female or women based, like it's actually a nod to them that like, hey, I can be humbled by the feminine divine.
Well, actually, it's about pre-selection, right? That's human evolution and pre-selection and all those things that are hardwired into your brain. And like I was saying, I think those pictures that he did with those girls and stuff, like a whole new light. Like, how could you hate on Richard for that? Like, you look at those pictures and he's got that smile, a bigger smile on his face, and like he's having fun because that's a different type of energy. It's like in the video with the girls where, like not that one with the ladies' night, there's a bunch of girls and him just being a man, right? That doesn't go as well as like just pictures, or even that when you get some girls that Richard respects, right? He thinks they're hot and smart, or maybe stupid too. He likes all the above. He softens up, and he listens more, and because he's attracted to him a little bit, right? That's only natural, and it looks good. It's a very good look for him. It's the best look he's had today, in my opinion, right? And I'll put that up against any other look that he's had so far.
What was that girl's name that he did the interview with in the middle of that? She was a mom. She's got a following. No.
Don't talk about her. I don't talk about her, but that's
right.
Crypto Wendy.
Right. So for instance, right, like she was combative, right? Like he was on edge there. Like it was so nice to watch those girls come in from like a giggly place, or even when he said something about like, let's face it, like boobs are, great marketing thing. And they both kind of looked at each other and like giggled and were like, yeah, totally. Like that's their business model, right? And they weren't sitting there and being offended by PB jokes or anything like that. They were actually like giggling, having fun about it. And I think at the end of it, I think Richard works really hard. I think when he throws on the Louis Vuitton and stuff, he's actually dressing up for camera, right? I think he probably does sit around in his swim trunks and coat and stuff like that. So when he was able to actually find good, I think he found a friendship in those girls and in new onboards, and flew them out there to like shoot cool photos. And hey, why not pay them to come and take great photos? Like that photographer, she's great. If you go look at her website, she's got a good camera, she's got a great lens. She knows how to talk to her model and stuff. And Richard was having fun and being free, and like that's the type of direction that I think we need to get more of in the content creation. I'm glad this documentary is coming out. Personally, I don't think the director is that great of a director, from sort of some of the forced sort of drama and the amping up and being like, we got to get this, we got to get that. Like you got to know how to kind of hold space.
We haven't seen it yet. I heard you talking about that the other day, and I think because you got a little experience in it, you're being a little overcritical. So, let's just wait till it comes out just to see how it all, they can paste anything together like super good, right? And it's not they're pasting it together, but you got to see the final product. And I've never seen anything else that he's done, but it sounds like he's a very talented man.
Like someone's out there doing it and getting the shots, getting the content, and like it's so important to, as a documentary filmmaker, to see the story before it evolves and already have the record button on, right? Like you're not gonna go back and do a documentary on something and not have the footage. It's why when you see something on like Kanye West coming out in the documentary, is all this footage of his guy that was sitting there with the record button on. You have to know that you're in the presence of greatness and be the
shut the fuck up
and record this stuff, and be able to have the record button on and get the shot and get that footage. It's just when you're in when it comes down to editing editing can be chopped up any which way, and the narrative can be spun any which way. So there's either, non-biased journalism, or there's, somebody that's trying to get their objective figured out. And I just hope that the narrative and the objective here isn't to paint him as some crazy individual, but is to actually show how insanely smart Richard is, and how amazing this product's going to be. What other coin has come out with a documentary at launch, and that's also going to set up, if this does take off, it's going to give a vantage point for any new person to come and just watch a documentary and then make their decision. And I think that's it will be a net positive, right? Like, I don't see anything bad coming out unless it was involving some sort of scandal. So I think we're in a good position.
Yeah, I think Richard's hitting his stride right now with his marketing, with everything. Seems like his life, so very happy about everything, me personally.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the follow back from Richard, but I have gotten a couple thank yous in the DMs, so I'm cool with that.
Well, who's got a question out there? We'd love to hear from you. You got a Pulsechain, PulseX, Hex question? You got everything figured out? You know what you're going to do? Probably when we launch. We'd love to help you if you have any questions.
Hey Benjamin, this is a hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
How
how
you
you
doing,
doing?
Alpha? Hey,
Hey,
hold on.
good.
I got to turn up my volume. It's not working. It's either you or me. Somebody else talk for a second. I can barely hear him.
Okay, can you hear me?
Try it again. I'm sorry. I think
Yeah.
my phone was messed up.
Yeah. Question. On the part like oh man, freaking just want to slap my mind here. With the post chain to sacrifice, on the part that never mind. Let me get back to you real quick, okay? All right.
Take your time, Alpha Omega. Take your time, brother.
How you doing? You doing good?
Hey, I'm alive and well, right? I've sacked for Pulsechain and PulseX. I got a
Man,
lot of hope in me.
you
I mean, these are good times. These are great times.
like as much as my portfolio went down like crazy, but you know what? I'm glad like when that dip last time, remember the sacrifice on PulseX? I went in on Pulse. I drop a lot. So what I did that right now when I look at the portfolio on most of the token right now, it's freaking like 90% down, Man, I was so lucky I did a move that hopefully PulseX and Pulsechain coming out and freaking we go celebrate Christmas, So it's like
Heck
so
yeah,
happy.
people have been talking about that a little bit more, as like how thankful they are that,
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be in a bear market right now. I'd be in cash a long time ago, and I am in cash, and I have been for a long time. But a lot of people wouldn't have been, and so man, that was just a godsend for a lot of people.
yeah, and at that time, like I think Chainlink was $20 something, right? And it's already down. It's like $30 something. It went down, and man, I sacrificed almost every token, Polkadot, everything, you know, and even Bitcoin. So I went pretty much all in, and but then I was just kind of diversify whole other token like Terra Luna. You know what happened like last week or so, a week ago? Freaking like, damn man, that thing just like you won't believe like that. Like, a lot of people that just they don't have the stomach for it. But yeah, it was like I went to sleep and I had about 30K in it, but I already took the profit, everything out. That thing's freaking went to zero, man. I was like, I said, what the heck happened? But yeah, and I'm so blessed that just think about it. Oh man, I'm glad I put most of my money in PulseX and Pulsechain, and just waiting right now. It's like, oh yeah, but still,
That's
even
what happened there is should be a wake up call to everybody out there that anything can happen in crypto,
yeah,
right?
and
Never put in
this
more that you can't afford to lose,
right,
right? Because these things can happen. You can be hacked if you don't have it secure. There's a million, not a million, there's a lot of ways. And as we see, even if you got a top 10 coin, like something can happen.
yeah,
So, it's good
but
to be mentally prepared for that. Even though it might happen, it might not, most likely is not going to happen to you, but you got to be mentally prepared for those things and try to, find
and
some fix-arounds.
I'm so used to be honest with you. I'm so used to even my portfolio went down like 150K in 3 days, and I'm used to it right now. That I'll say, but I'm glad that I went in on PulseX and Pulsechain, and I was like dollar cost averaging on Hex, because I know those are legit project that the community is so super strong, that they support each other. They're not go pull the Terra Luna on, then man. But I know they try to revamp and all the stuff like that, but heck man. But another thing, just when it come out, I just advise everybody take a little profit, take profit and pay your bill, whatever need to be done, then stake the rest of it, because because the crypto, like you say, it can go all the way down to 90%, even more, and I've been in 2016 and I see this, and look at Hex right now, man. I think we close to going down to 90, but but I missed the chance of buying from beginning, so it's like a bless, that I can pick it up cheap right now. So
Yep, that's the best thing that's happened to me in 10 years in crypto is that the Hex boat, it left and it came back to get us, right?
yeah,
With Pulsechain and PulseX. I
right, and
mean, there's so much to be grateful for.
and that's why a lot of people unhappy with Hex, like the performing on stuff. A lot of FUD coming out, and I say, you know what, heck, man, you missed a chance. This is your second chance right here, coming back, and should buy the dip, buy the freaking dip, And I've been dollar cost average, and
Why would they be surprised?
right.
Like, I still can't get it in my brain, like how
And
people like didn't think these things were going to happen, because these are the things that happen
yeah,
every single time.
and I mean the whale they playing game. I mean, like, and plus, like, they're taking profits, they're staking, and it's unstake, and of course they go sell. That that's the rule is to make money. And it's not, but they hold an assets that's going to be there. At least I know it's not going to be freaking. Well, somebody pull a carpet and those kinds like big connect crap on you. You know what I mean? It's going to be there. So and I protect most of them. Is basically I stake like 15 years, and so and I'm telling that it's multiplying, it's compounding, you know. That's the key. But I did have some liquid right on the side right now and see what happened, you know. And but yeah, my advice is just like when this thing come out, you know, because I know it go pump like crazy. Just take a little profit, pay your bill, do whatever, you know, but don't freaking going crazy buy Lambo and all crap like that, you know. Then they're gonna be in debt forever, you know. Because everybody always talk.
At least get yourself a Mercedes Benz, get a BMW or something. Don't get a Lambo.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy 2 Lambo last one, you know, and on the and it was back in March, like it was like before the tank. I mean, and I say, oh man, now I'm down. So, but you know, but
We're
it's
making
a
higher lows here. We're making some really solid higher lows here, and like everybody that watched it go all the way down to 4 cents was like, I think I'll get in. Everyone was trying to transfer their money in and had it get held up, and we're starting to see people nibble here, and I think we're
yeah,
gonna be okay going into
no,
June. I don't think any of this
yeah,
FUD about like these end stakes. I think these end stakes, I don't unless anyone really wants to take a little bit off the top, I think we might see it continue to add a little bit of volatility, but as soon as we clear some of these stakes, like we're looking pretty good going into June.
Well, I'll tell you what, our friend John S., I've been talking to him a little bit with DMs, and he's been telling me what he thinks. So it's kind of interesting. I love to get other people's opinions, and for some reason now, I just love John S.'s opinion. You know, he's in the hot seat, not in a good way, right? And so it's very entertaining.
When's he coming into the chat?
I could send him a message and ask him. I think he's been taking a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I think he took the last, didn't come on yesterday and everything because the day before he was on for a while and we got yelled at for talking about it so long. And so I think he's just, he's a real smart guy. He doesn't want to wear out his welcome.
But did he, I mean, like he said that he was gonna, if he saw the volume come in, I'm gonna get the trading view. I'm gonna pay for it, but I'm not, because I don't have that volume indicator. But has the volume come in? And like he said, he didn't care if he was gonna buy into the 8s. Like, was he buying into these 8s or no? And also, if he told you, tell me. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go in. I'm trying to develop a solid relationship with him, and so, and even if I wasn't, I don't want to talk about what somebody else is doing. That's his gig.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of felt like he was buying though. I feel like this was him.
He's not buying, I'll tell you that. Or is he? Or is he not? Everybody's so concerned about nobody's really concerned. It's just entertainment because we've just got time to kill still.
Friends in the DMs now too, Benjamin. So I didn't listen to you guys last week, so I'm definitely listening to you this week. I'll tell you what, brother. Oh, it was nice and drunk on that 18, 19 cents, man.
Say that again?
Well, I just I wasn't, so when you and Profex, when we were all in here at like 12 cents, I felt momentum going up, right? So I was like, I didn't really heed the warning, and I was like, it was the early May, mid-May announcement, whatever, and I knew the announcement could take longer. I just didn't think that we would get a tweet that would implode us like we did, because I kind of was projecting towards June anyway. But I was buying at that 10 cent pretty heavily. And you guys were like, oh, I can go down. And I really just hadn't wrapped my mind around the liquidity pools enough to really understand what would happen as it kind of played out. So even at like 18, 19 cents, where like the technicals were showing that we had volume to push through some of those resistance, we would have technically been off to the races, but I didn't really fully understand the liquidity pools enough to realize that it was very possible to go from 20 cents to 4 cents. Lesson
Yeah,
learned.
it's, you know, never bet against the trend, right? When the market's going up, it's going to keep going up till one day it doesn't, right? And it's the same thing on the way down. And in my opinion, especially on the way down, you know, for me personally, whatever price I got in at, like I'm going to set a limit of like how much I want to be down before I exit that position. Now, reverse side going up, yeah, you're going to screw yourself over at times, maybe 10%. But I'll tell you what, like it's a hell of a lot. Once you lose your position, it's so hard to get back in for psychological reasons. And it's such a big dip to go from like, 20 cents to 5 cents. I mean, you're stuck, right? You don't want to be stuck. Like being stuck, it will cost you more money in the long run.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And also, like, you have to know kind of like what your strategy is too, right? Like, are you staking? You're holding liquid? Are you holding liquid for the fork? So I kind of caught myself, I think, a little bit off guard by did a couple things. One, didn't give myself enough dry powder. Two, try to time a market. Three, went against the overall macro, thinking that I could uplift whatever market it was. And also, with that being said, I took some of that and I set it back out into some stakes that I'm really happy about. Like I think that was one of the smarter things that I did was, I mean, not to talk too much about my bag, but like I had a pretty good year last year, and sometimes you can fumble that bag when you get up into 6-7 figures. So I think by kind of taking my finger off the trigger and being like, hey, like, all right, let's set some of this out and put it against the code of HEX, get the copies, and even if that goes down to 1 cent, like too bad, nothing you can really do about it. Now I'm in a position where I have some liquid, and that's a little bit underwater here too, but I have other ways.
This brings up a certain topic that I've been kind of not wanting to dip my toes in and talk about, but I think it's beneficial, even though some people would probably like to argue it. And that's like, so if you stake HEX for a year, your yield is what, like 10%, right? You got to get that 38. You got to, do the average or something. That's correct. So if you stake for a year, your yield is like 10%. And correct? I want to just establish that before I continue.
Correct.
And so in my mind, I cannot, me personally, and I guess I'm bringing this up so I can maybe move to the middle a little bit more to be a little bit, wiser. But in my mind, like I cannot understand on earth why someone would stake for 1 year to get 10% and be stuck in their bag for 10%. If you go back, like there's people who staked like a year ago from right now when we were at, let's say, all-time highs, and they haven't been, for 10%, they've been stuck and they've lost all that value. I believe stake was designed to stake for long, big and long, or whatever that saying is, right? In my opinion, like with Tether and these other, DeFi out there, you can get, 6%, some, there's all these different percentages. And I don't even think you have to lock up your tokens for that long. So I think this is a valuable lesson for people. And, you know, but I take any argument to push me towards the middle, why someone would say, hey, that's smart to do. So yeah, I want to throw that out there. But like I said, I've been kind of avoiding this talk because I think some people want people to just stake forever.
I'll speak to it. Just because I've actually had some pretty big bags that I've been gambling with. So yeah, so like bigger, it's proof of weight, right? So like bigger and longer pays better. I staked last November, probably. I just had whatever. So I staked from 720 days up until Sunday. So I probably staked man, like, it was a big bag. But all things considered, it was like the cost of one ape, right? That I paid $200 for. So I'm gambling with stuff that's just, house's money at this point. But I staked last November, and I
there's no such thing as house money. It's your money.
Right. It's my money. Well, so I staked last November, and I was like, I had recognized that we were at the top of the market, and I was like, okay, let me stake here, even though back then we were at 20 cents, right? So I staked at 20 cents, and I was like, okay, best case scenario, and I was kind of moonboying a little bit, top of the market, and I was like, I think this is going to $1. I could see it at $1, so I was doing moon math at $1, and so I staked probably about 2 million hex, and then I was like, all right, 10%, that'll yield me about 200,000 hex, and wow, that could be potentially $250,000, right? Long story short, that stake is down 75%. So I'm gonna roll it over, but that was probably a 6-month stake, and I was kind of, as I said it, I was looking at overall macro, I was looking at overall trends of when markets usually come bottom, and like I always
Mango, did you have like that countdown? There was a resource that I think a lot of the people in the crypto market was looking at, which means you probably shouldn't look at it, but it fooled a lot of people. It was like a prediction to the day that the bull market would hit its top. Did you ever see that? It was a very simple website. I've got it on my computer, but were you familiar with that? That was like the best educated prediction, and I think a lot of people were generally rolling with that. And I think it was like September something. Were you aware of that at the time that you made the stake last year, this time to hold it for a year? I'm just kind of curious.
I was aware that we were at a top, but I'm also pretty I've been paying attention to crypto and markets, but
well, the top was supposed to. I'm sorry to interrupt. The top was supposed to end about around September, October, November, right around that area.
Yeah, I mean, like I felt that we were in the top at 4,000 Ethereum, and I was paying attention to Richard, right, and also just in terms of like where we were at with just insanity in the market. Everything was just rolling cash, and I was caught up in it, but I didn't have the real discipline to pull back and make the right adjustment. So and I knew that Pulsechain was coming up back then in November. People were like, oh, 2 months this, 2 months that, and so I kind of set it all the way out till May, thinking that this was actually when we would launch, which I was pretty close to that. But I thought that with the adoption that we're seeing in crypto, like I didn't think that the bear would be so bad. It wasn't until January that I was talking to some way smarter people. Like I have some friends at like Silvergate Bank and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we're all in cash, and stock market's at 40% multiples on year-over-year earnings," and so that's I was already staked and stuff like that, and I was just like kind of rolling the dice. So, but I said it to say back to your 10%, right? Like, I think it really depends on where the price is when that stake ends. And even though there was a large stake for 6 months, I still only got 10%. Now I've sent out some bags for 3 and 10 years, and I'm getting that 30%, and I haven't been as comfortable with anything as I am with that, even though it was a large chunk. I can take that longer time horizon and just keep accumulating the hex, and that's really what I'm interested in. So it's like, you know, you can get that 10% by being liquid and kind of trading, or at least setting up better entry points and really having conviction in those entry points. But then also being able to protect yourself to the downside and being more middled in your convictions and being able to participate in both directions.
I want to comment on it too, real quick. What's up, guys? What's up, Benjamin? So, and right on Catamingo. So, like, you know, we try to incentivize here some of the RH's, like, you know, mantras or the way he approaches the market, and he always says it's time in the market, not timing the market. So, if we force ourselves to not want to trade or panic sell, I think someone did it within the last 24 hours where they sold at 4 cents or something, and they ate all the slippage. It was over 100 million hex or something, and then less than 24 hours later, he could have sold it at double, right? So this happened like yesterday or today. I don't know if you guys saw on Chain or something. I haven't been watching, but I heard it in a live. So it just means if you lock it up, say it's 10% or whatever it is, really it's just an extra incentive to hold out longer for what I guess Catamango was talking about is price appreciation, right? Or what we were talking about when we were on the run up last September is adoption. So like RH used to, you know, harp on what about $10 hex, but you know, whatever 30 cents is only on the way to $100 hex. We were all on that shit, you know, and I guess it seems like hopium. Look, excuse my language. Seems like hopium now, but legitimately, you know, when Pulsechain launches, and everyone's got all the pulse they want, everyone's got all the PulseX they want, and it's working, and it's deflationary, so it's working, and we're getting all this use case, you know, with the burning buy and burn, and then we're adopting more people because NFTs are coming out and new projects coming out. What are the OGs going to be investing in? We're going to be speculating on some of these new projects, and we'll be maybe trading because we're degens. But what are we doing? We're throwing a lot of our gains into Hex, and then we're locking it up longer. You know, and then what that's going to do is going to make Hex the better bit, finally be seen as the better, you know, as it is designed to be, and it's going to be the flagship of Pulsechain.
I agree 100%. You said that very well.
And I think it's fair that all these other products out there that are trying to, you know, create staking or give yields, I think a lot of those are going to fall out and die. And the immutable code of HEX is just going to continue to work. Like there's no real taking that down. So I think when people are searching for the yield, or these larger institutions are introducing like Fidelity, right? Like, cool, they can come out, they're unstable, be very centralized and connected to their brand. But what are they going to give their individuals that want to add other tokens to the 401k? You know, are they really going to introduce them to Bitcoin? You know, or what happens when Pulsechain comes out and they have an option of adding potentially HEX, or if the HEX Trust, which I haven't done too much research into, but if they're opening up lines for these types of instruments to be used correctly, who's to say that if they do the research and the code works, that they don't introduce this product as well? I think we're going to see that HEX will survive as a yield-bearing instrument, and a lot of other ones out there in the market will fail, or people will be more skeptical, especially after Anchor and Terra Luna and all that. Right? Part of the mantra, people are like, oh, it's offering 20% APY, must be a scam, right? Until they see how it actually works.
Yeah, with such a Terra Luna kind of messed it up everything too. Now people look at it, you know, this type of project, you know, kind of like they think twice about it, you know, because it's just the return is so high, you know. So hey Benjamin, you try the test net yet? Is anybody tried the test net yet?
Testnet works great, bud. Who's this, Alpha?
Is anybody here tried the test net yet? Hello?
Yes, the testnet works great. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I try to see I can farm it, and I split the liquidity 50-50, but I don't see it's nothing moving. You know, it did like a couple weeks ago. Come on earning, I didn't see any. And when they say harvest, you know, I try to see is back like it just stay like where it is, you know. And I did provide liquidity on PulseX platform, the platform, and try to see I can farm it, just test it, you know. I paired the PulseX with the Pulsechain, but that's weird. It's shown like a APR. I mean, all it's like similar to any other platform, but then I don't see any, you know, will go like to your wallet, anything like that, you know, or claiming. I thought maybe somebody have the same problem. On PulseX, you can't just stake PulseX alone, right? There are no keys here, you know. It's only say farm and pools.
Could a admin please unmute Benjamin? He stepped out and needs to come back in. I don't know who's the admin here, but let's unmute Benjamin, please.